It's been a while since I've given you an update on the farm. I have been posting videos that I filmed back in March, and tomorrow is going to be the 1st of May, so I thought it's time you get an update. In the past couple of videos, you've seen that we've had 4 baby goats born, Captain Suds, Ellie, Remus, and Cindy Lou, and we actually had 2 calves born, Kira and Twilight. Well, I've been keeping a secret, and we actually had 2 other calves born. Tulip had a calf, and so did Bluebonnet. I just didn't really film very much of this. I did film quite a bit of Bluebonnets, but I didn't do very much talking in it. So on Easter morning, we woke up to a wonderful surprise. Tulip had her calf, and it was a little bull. When I first found the calf, he was super adorable. I actually woke up and looked out the window. I almost never look out the window when I wake up, but I have like some sort of like spider sense when it comes to calves being born, because I always just happen to look over and see a mother either in labor or she's already had her calf. So Tulip had a little bull calf, and since he was born on Easter, I wanted to name him after one of the 12 disciples.
This is day 3 of Tulip's little boy. He does not have a name yet. I'm still debating on which one of the disciples. I still have to research it a bit more on which one to name him after. But he's very beautiful, and he's very sweet, and he loves to play with the other calves. So
I was talking to my youth pastor's wife, and she thought the perfect name for him would be John, because John was just a really funny disciple, and the main moment that she told me was, I can't remember the verse exactly off the top of my head, but it's this verse, and it's basically John and Peter are running to the tomb, I believe, after Jesus rose from his tomb. John wrote, the other one outran Peter, which he was talking about himself, so we thought that was kind of funny. And John, from what I've read from the Bible and what I've been told, it definitely fits this little calf's personality, so I decided to name him John. Now, I thought John sounded really familiar. I knew I didn't have a goat named John. I know I didn't have a rabbit or a cat or a dog named John, so I thought I might have had another bull or like bovid named John. I couldn't remember why that name sounded so familiar. And when I was doing the announcement post on my Instagram, I was typing out that he was a child of Tulip and John Adams. And then it dawned on me that our bull is named John Adams. But I don't call him John, I just call him John Adams. So I decided to call this calf Johnny as a nickname. 10 days after Johnny's birth, April 15th, which was actually our cat Clyde's 6th birthday, so that was pretty exciting. Well, it's his estimated birthday because we found him in our backyard when he was about a month or 2 old. There's a plane. Okay. And since that was a Wednesday, I was at youth, and when we got home, I was going down to the barn to lock up all the animals and just do my nightly chores, and my dad was acting all panicked. He does this thing a lot where he'll curse or say stuff like, oh no, or that's weird, in like a really concerned tone, and he won't tell us what he's talking about. Like, he tries to be mysterious, which is really annoying, and he does it all the time. But eventually I figured out that he realized one of the 4 heifers were missing, so I instantly noticed her under a tree, which
Bluebonnet is in labor. She's one of the new heifers, so I'm praying everything goes smoothly. And I actually got to watch her come into this world 2 years ago, so that's very exciting. And I'm going to give her some space. She's in a really good spot, so it can be my aunt's property, and there's a fence in between us, so I can hopefully film it, and she won't go crazy. And I trust the Lord, and that cow's super chill too. So, yeah, but I'm going to go lock up the goats real quick, and apparently listen to worship music too.
And when I got back, it was pretty dark, so it was going to be really hard to film. And it looked like I was filming on a potato. My quality of the phone just went really down.
Patty is chasing poor Bluebonnet away, and how am I supposed to get a good spot? I mean, a shot.
And by the time I found Bluebonnet again, she did move from underneath that tree because the other heifers, mainly Patty, she was headbutting her, and then Bluebonnet ended up settling behind another tree, and she only had 2 feet out at that time, and I still thought it was really weird. I just had this really weird gut feeling.
The main problem I see right now is that there's only 1 hoof coming out so far. That can be normal, so hopefully the second one appears. But if not, she may have a problem. But we're not going to think about that. We're going to have faith that there is no problem. Actually, that might be 2 feet. I think that is 2 feet, actually.
Sudden, I heard a voice say, "You need to assist." And I thought I was just getting in my head again, and I heard it again and again, and I told God that I was going to get ran over if I got closer to this cow. But then he said just to get a little bit closer, and I'll see that Bluebonnet does not care. So I did that, and I kept getting closer and closer, and eventually I was probably about like 4 feet away from Bluebonnet, and my dad was freaking out, saying that I should leave her alone, and he was just getting really mad that I was that close to a cow, and that it was dark, and that he couldn't see me. And he was saying the reason why she hadn't given birth yet is because I was stressing her out. Now, Bluebonnet would actively push when I was near her, but she wasn't making any progress. She only had those 2 feet out. I knew something was wrong. I told him that we really needed to assist, and he just ignored it and said I'm the reason why she's not pushing. And she would only stop pushing whenever the other heifers would come and bother her, or maybe...
Well, she's under a tree, and it's dark, and my phone does not film in the dark, so I cannot film the birth. I'm going to still try to watch it, though. And I feel like something's telling me to get closer, which I probably will do. Because I'm not going to get run over, because I trust the Lord.
Eventually, my dad got really mad at me and walked all the way over to the fence and essentially dragged me back to the house because I'm stubborn and didn't want to leave Bluebonnet. And I told my dad that I felt like we needed to do something and that Bluebonnet really did not care about me getting closer to her. One of my friends told me if it's scaring you, it's normally in the right direction.
We just pulled out a calf. I will have to explain it all to you tomorrow, but... wow. It is now the next morning, and as you can see, Bluebonnet is alive and well, and same as the calf, he is standing. Such a crazy story that I'm going to have to share with you later today, but I'm very grateful that the Lord let Bluebonnet and the calf survive, so... It's been a few days since this little baby was born. Basically the story was... I just had a really weird feeling when I found Bluebonnet was in labor that she was going to have a problem, like maybe the baby was breached. Dad was mad that I was so close to her and had me come back to the house because it was late too. And at this point, it's been about 2 hours. So I was really worried that she didn't make any progress. And eventually I convinced my dad, I was like, I feel like we have to do something because he likes to wait until the last minute and then it's done. It's just too late. They're already halfway dead or they're already dead. And I finally convinced him, and I just had a lot of faith during the situation. We found the chain he used when he was 10 years old. He's now like 56, almost 56.
So I pulled the calf out, and because I watched a lot of videos about goats, I knew the most important thing was to make sure the airway of the cow was clean. And the baby, I didn't know how much gunk it got in there. My dad went back to the house to get my little nose sucker that I have for the goats. But before I did that, something I remembered learning, I can't remember who it was from. I think it was from Heather from Sage and Stone Homestead, but it was to get a piece of straw and to stick it up their nose and wiggle it around and make them sneeze. And I kept making the baby sneeze, and I was wiping him off. And you might be wondering, where is Bluebonnet in this situation? She was sitting there, and she didn't really acknowledge the calf. She probably knew, because she's very calm and she goes with the flow. God probably told her that we were assisting. And we assisted, and then I walked out of the pen to get my phone because I thought, oh, I should take pictures of this. Because as soon as I left the pen, Bluebonnet got up and started licking her calf. An hour later, I went back down to check on the calf, and he was standing on his back feet, but he wouldn't use his front feet. And eventually, he did use his front feet, but when he stood on his, I believe it was his front right hoof, he jumped like it really hurt a lot. So then I was a little bit worried that it was broken, and again I prayed and had faith, and my mom said that if we did break it when we pulled the calf out, that we would have heard it crack. That morning when we woke up, my dad already went and checked on him, so he kind of ruined the surprise for me, but that's okay. At least he got to have the surprise. And he was standing up, he was nursing, and he was alive. He was gonna make it. So that was amazing. I'm very glad about that. And I decided to name the little guy Blue Spruce. My cousin Carissa and her roommate came up with it, so shout out to them. I wanted to do a blue theme for Bluebonnet, and I didn't want to use Bluebell. I wanted to use that for a heifer, but she had a bull calf. There's a few conclusions that we came up on, which is one, our bull John Adams, he throws calves with way too big of heads for our cows, or two, since Esther and Bluebonnet have the same sire, that maybe something inside of them was different than the other cows, which was causing them to have problems. Both of those my dad came up with, and the second one didn't really make sense to me, because if there was something wrong inside, I think the cows would have health problems themselves, and they wouldn't even be able to have the calves at all. but that was not the case. They were completely fine. Esther passed the calf by herself, but it was deceased. And Bluebonnet, we had the pull, and there was no problems. There was no extra blood. It was normal. She's doing fine. It's been 2 weeks later. Kind of just thought that it was John Adams with the big head. Now, we do have 3 more heifers that are going to give birth this year, and then also Esther will give birth again in October or something this year. Ebony actually shares the same sire as Esther and Bluebonnet, and then Patty and Cherry, they are new blood. We bought them back in 2024. They're completely new blood, so we're gonna see what happens. It's been 2 weeks, that's why I've waited to kind of make this video. Neither of them have given birth yet. Ebony is very, very close. Her udder's filled up. And Esther and Bluebonnet did the same thing. Their udder filled up and they didn't give birth for a few days. So we're going to see if Ebony has a problem, which I will, of course, make a video about that, hopefully. Either way, I'm very glad and very blessed that Blue Spruce and Johnny and all the other babies are doing great. They're all getting very big and very strong. I'm very grateful that we have 10 adorable babies on the ground on our farm.